and psychology. He has delivered invited lectures in many national and international conferences alike. So we are delighted to have you with us. You may proceed with your session.
Yeah. Thank you, Johnny, for this wonderful introduction, very elaborate introduction. It is my privilege to interact with all of you in this webinar session. I am really thankful to the Royal Global University Guwahati for inviting me for this session. It is the Royal School of Behavioral and Allied Sciences, RSBS. The chief patron is the Professor S.P. Singh, VC of Royal Global University. Then patron is Professor A.K. Buragoin, chairperson, academic, Royal Global University. And moderator is Jamni Mitra. I'm really thankful to all of you. You call me to interact with all the audiences on this very happening topic on the artificial intelligence and how it can be having a lot of impact in our life. So herewith I'll try to, Janvi will try to share my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it is visible?
Yeah, it's visible to me, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I welcome all of you for this session on artificial intelligence, reinventing our life. So the agenda of the today's webinar session, what is the psychology and connection of the AI? Then what is artificial intelligence? Then how we can reinventing our life, reinventing human resources, and reinventing learning processes. So I have chosen this all 5 burning agendas or burning topics which are related with the artificial intelligence. And it's very important to understand how it can, being the professor of psychology or the student of the psychology, how it can be utilized. So mostly we are giving a lot of emphasis on the function of brain, memory, learning processes, and a lot other kind of things are there. But what is more important, how you can align all these things. The artificial intelligence is a part of the computer sciences, or maybe robotics and a lot of other things are there, but how it can be interrelated. Though I chosen the 5 agendas and numbers are there, but it is maybe not in that order because I am not the robot, I am the human being. So it may be come in a different session or different kind of things. So let's move to the next. Yeah. So what in the psychology and artificial intelligence? Psychology is one of the basic sciences which we are using for the artificial intelligence. The founder of the experimental psychology, William Wundt. See, all of the students of psychology and the professors and everyone who is knowledge of the psychology, they are knowing the William Wundt is the founder of the experimental psychology and established the first psychology laboratory at the university. And he tried to do a lot of experiment, and he was engaged in the experimental methods and interested in thinking processes during his scientific work. So it is a long back, 1872 to the 2020. Lot of scientific work was done in the field of the psychology and how it can be now utilized by the computing science or the robotics. The main goal of the psychological science is to model human thinking. So here, when you're taking the experimental psychology route, there you want to see how it can be having the impact on the human thinking. So in the artificial intelligence, human computing deals with this question: how the thinking process are there, how person we are doing the perceive the world. So we are going like this. Behaviorism and cognitivism are the 2 leading schools of psychology. Still, they are existing. There are a lot of n number of different schools of psychology. But when we are talking about the AI, it is mostly the cognitive school of psychology that we want to see here. So, behaviorism states that all behaviors are learned through interaction with the environment through a process called conditioning. So, it may be the Pavlovian approach, it may be the Rogerian approach, or it may be Thorndike approach. All kind of approaches are maybe related with the conditioning on the learning, whereas cognitive psychology focuses on how we think. It assumes that our thought processes affect the way in which we behave. The brain is an information processing device. Artificial intelligence supports this idea. So brain we are taking as a part of the processing devices. You may be aware of the lot of information processing theories, how we are thinking, how we are seeing how the thinkings happen, how the cognitive processes functionings are there, what is the top down and bottom up approach of the perception. So in all this way, we try to understand, we try to do the different kind of things. So if you want to see the information processing model of the brain, what you can see, there is the outside world and then there is the inside world. And also you are getting some kind of stimulus. So it is based on the stimulus response theory, or what you call as the SOR theory. So I'm just, because I know a lot of participants, they are from the non-psychological background and some of them from psychology background, but try to make it very easy. This session I want to make it very easy so everyone can understand that. So the stimulus giving some kind of representations are there, then cognitive model we process the information and the new representation are there, and on that basis you take action. So stimulus has to be interpreted to representation. So what are the stimulus are getting from the environment? Through the sense organ you are getting stimulus, you're working on that, and then representation is manipulated via cognitive processes and build new inside representation. So within inside, once you process that information, then you are giving the new representation, and process may end in an action. To simplify this entire information processing model of brain, I try to do some kind of picturization so it is very easy for you. Suppose you are seeing this tennis star, information processing model, how to go? Input is there, information received by senses. The ball is coming. And what is the processing? Information analyze, decision making and memory. Both things are taking part of this in the information processing model, where you are making decision, what is the speed of ball, when it is going to come up, and the memory also plays the role, because this is not the first time the person is playing. It may be the n number of matches that person won or lose, or it may be playing for so many days. So then output information responds to the and how the action is happen. So whatever the model we have seen earlier, this shows in that. So if you want to see some of the theories which are directly related with the artificial intelligence, it may be the Alfred Adler. He has given us a famous example. Serial killers have suffered 100% under violence in the childhood. So it's giving the past performance or maybe the individual psychology. Eric Berne, children without physical contact showed physical and intellectual setback. Robert Bolton is known as the communication skill and how we learn from our family background. Sigmund Freud, everyone knows, he's the father of psychology. Ego, superego, and subconscious and unconscious are the again from that we have taken lot of things we borrowed in the artificial intelligence. Then Edward de Bono, brain connects concept to pattern. So lateral thinking is very much popular in last 10 years. It was there. Then Isabel Bridge and Mayer. So Bridge and Mayer are always your MBTI. We are all of you using that. Human can understand reality intuitively or with perception. So we try to understand different kind of types of the personality. And David Burns, emotions are cognitive processes or the consequences of thinking. And everyone knows the modern theory of intelligence by the Gardner and then the Guilford. All of having a lot of contribution to the artificial intelligence, because all the processes, all the information is borrowed from mostly all the researches were carried out in psychology and mostly in cognitive psychology and the functioning of the brain. Main art of intelligence, language, musical, body, interpersonal, every kind of things are part of the human intelligence. Gardner theory of the intelligence is very famous within the psychologist. So you see what is the human intelligence is there. Human intelligence is defined as the quality of the mind that is made up of capabilities to learn from past experiences, adaptation to new situations, handling of abstract ideas, and the ability to change his or her own environment. So if you want to see, I just try to simplify your n number of definition of intelligence. But for the common person, even the student of psychology, what is important? We are having the capability to learn. If you want to see the definition of learning, through the past experiences, we learn a lot of things. as well as you adapt to the new situation. Even the new type of pandemics are there, you adapt to the situation, and abstract ideas also there. So if you want to say abstract ideas or and all kind of ideas can be on that basis, you are taking some kind of decision, or we are having the ability to change our own environment. So can this applicable to the artificial intelligence? Can this applicable to the robotic sciences? So this is very important point. And the scientists from the computer sciences, they always, and the psychologists, they want to see how it can be applicable. So if you want to see the artificial intelligence in the other side, the pioneer of the field of AI is Minsky and McCarthy. So this is not something new because we are saying the AI is a buzzword in this 2020 or 21st century, but it is a Minsky and McCarthy given this thought long back in 1950s, and they describe artificial intelligence as any task performed by a program or a machine that if a human carried out the same activity, we would say the human had to apply intelligence to accomplish the task. So even the simple thing like putting a pen or putting some kind of your any kind of things, what has happened? You have to apply a lot of decision making. Though suppose I'm putting taking this mobile in my hand, it seems to be very fraction of second. But what happens is a lot of cognitive processes involved. It is my past experiences, it is my decision making, and in the action. So this can be imitated in the artificial intelligence? That is the big challenge. AI has become more popular today because increased data volumes. So we have seen earlier when I started using the PC in I can say 2001 and 2003. That time the computing facility and data was very small. It may be in KBs or 1 GB or 2 GB, or less than that. 256. I used the first personal computer, but now data volumes are huge. We are having the Google, you are having the Amazon, you are in the n number of companies there. Google, and you can see there how much big data volumes they can store, as well as you are in the everyone is talking about the cloud data. No one want to keep their data in a hard drive or in your PC or in laptop, but you are talking about the in quantums of volume. This is uncountable. Then advanced algorithms. So algorithm also a topic of that is also increased, and improvement in computing power and storage. So all things are increased. So when increasing of this technology, then the importance of the artificial intelligence is there. AI system will typically demonstrate at least some of the behaviors associated with human intelligence. So what is expected from the artificial intelligence? Some of the behaviors which are very typical to the human being, that should be imitated, that should be applicable when you are using the artificial intelligence. So such kind of planning, learning, reasoning, problem solving, knowledge representation, perception, motion, and manipulation, and to lesser extent, social intelligence and creativity. There are n number of researches are carried out in the social intelligence and creativity. And a part of my curriculum when I did my people analytics and people management skills, we had a lot of work on how the emotional intelligence and social intelligence and artificial intelligence can be manipulated, can be utilized for the social intelligence. So the robot should understand how I can interact with the human being. So can I give the emotions to the robot? So all these kind of questions, or can the creativity can be created? Can the masterpiece of arts can be, or the painting can be drawn by a robot or by using the artificial intelligence? This is a very key question. But in a short sense, we try to understand what is the planning, learning, reasoning, and problem solving. All things should be applicable to the artificial intelligence. So AI makes it possible for machines to learn from experience. The machine will also have some kind of memory. We started our session with the process of a memory. So what is the process of memory? We store, encode, and then we retrieve. So that is the process of memory. Even our CPU work in the same manner, and same kind of thing. Even our you can say memory work in a similar fashion. Then you have the theory of forgetting and theory of long-term memory, short-term memory that work in that particular manner. adjust to new inputs, and perform human-like tasks. So what is important here? AI makes possible for machines to learn from experience, adjust to new inputs, and perform human-like tasks. For example, from chess-playing computers to self-driving cars, all things that we have seen. Vishwanath Anand, world chess player, even he was playing with the computer. So even computer is so you can say trained by using the AI. They can play the chess with the human genius and to self-driving cars. So a lot of companies are coming with the self-driving cars. They really rely heavily on the deep learning and natural language processing. What is deep learning? Because that is a new kind of technology. It comes afterwards. Artificial intelligence is not only one word, but having the n number of things are input there. It is including the social sciences and psychology having the main role, and then the computing sciences and computer softwares and hardware. And can be trained to accomplish specific tasks by processing large amount of data and recognizing patterns in the data. So the processing of data is one of the main important tasks of the artificial intelligence. And by using that data, something should come out. So the decision making and planning can be very smooth for the different functioning in our life. So now another thing is there that you are calling the can categorize AI also can be categorized as the two broad type, narrow AI and general AI. So narrow artificial intelligence and general artificial intelligence. Again, artificial intelligence to student of psychology, I want to make it very easier for them to understand. And by using this knowledge, they can also do some kind of research in the next couple of years. Narrow AI is what we see all around us in computers today. So right now, this is the era of the narrow AI, where you can see intelligent systems that have been taught or learned how to carry out specific tasks without being explicitly programmed how to do so. So when the program is done, when the data is fed to the system, then they can take that action properly. You'll see what is the example of that. So narrow machine intelligence is evident in Siri virtual assistant. So all of you may have heard about the Siri virtual assistant. It is a speech and language recognition, and it is given by the Apple iPhone or the right now. What are the laptop I'm using? So even you can use the voice command, and your laptop will go to type it. So all this kind of the narrow machine intelligence. Another example is the self-driving cars. What happened here? The self-driving car having the little bit higher way, having the vision and recognition system, and it is going to launch by the Google. Google also taken some kind of the. So this is by using the AI, entire gamut of the commuting will going to change drastically. When you are seeing the electric cars by Elon Musk, when it launched, so a lot of things are already changed. Search engines suggested products you might like based on what you bought in the past. So when you're having some kind, see what is the AI intelligence is nothing much very much magical for you nowadays, because when you visit any kind of search engine like Amazon or maybe the Flipkart or any popular marketplace, or it may be the Netflix. So when you are putting some kind of things, immediately they are giving some kind of suggestions. If I want to purchase some watch, I want to purchase mobile, I want to purchase something, immediately they are getting the information. So artificial intelligence is heavily rely on the data and data points. So what happens when you're going out of our house, everywhere you are creating the data. When you are putting something in the WhatsApp, the data is there. When you are putting something in the Facebook, data is created. When you are logging your PC, that is data is created. When you order something from the online platform, it may be a lot of platforms are there, Swiggy, Zomato, and a lot of other things are there. Immediately it is logged in and our data is captured. Whether you want it or whether you don't want it, all the data is captured. Everywhere data point is there, and that is accessible to the by using the artificial intelligence. However, unlike humans, this system can only learn or to be taught how to do specific tasks, which is why they are called narrow AI. So whatever the task is given to them, only they can do it. But human being can take the decision by themselves. they can understand what is better from them. But what happens, even this AI is suggesting something. Yes, last time you purchased this phone, so now you have to do this kind of brand. So immediately when you once you search on your any of the search engines, immediately next day onwards you are getting that kind of ads that we're calling the artificial intelligence, and we are talking about that is the narrow AI. AI refers to the ability of computers to perform human-like feat of cognition, including learning, problem solving, perception, decision making, and speech and language. So, what is our importance in there? So, they should work like a human being. So, what is the you can say the hallmark of the human being? They can learn n number of new things they can learn, and even they can unlearn. They are having the capacity for problem solving, perception, decision making, and speech and language. So all these things you try to understand, try to mechanize, try to do some kind of language, try to do some programming. On that basis, we can take a decision. So artificial general intelligence, we are seeing the narrow intelligence, not the AGI, that is the artificial general intelligence, is very different. A type of adaptable intellect found in humans. So it is similar to the human intellect, a flexible form of intelligence capable of learning how to carry out vast anything from hair cutting to buildings, spreadsheet, or to reason about a wide variety of topics based on its accumulated experiences. This is the sort of AI more commonly seen in movies. Okay, so we are seeing the Terminator 2, Terminator 3, or any kind of movies. So still that is not there. What are the popular sci-fi movies you are seeing right now? But it will be reality very soon. It may be another couple of 5 years or 10 years. All things will be reality. So now the Internet of Things, where the machines still going to speak with machines. Now you can understand your one mobile giving instruction to another mobile, your washing machine giving instruction to your mixer, or mixer giving instruction to your fridge. So that thing will going to happen in near future. So that is what we are calling the Internet of Things, where the machine will going to speak with machines, and the entire world will be something different. So where we are using actually artificial intelligence and the super intelligence, another component is there that is coming up. That is the super artificial intelligence that is in the nascent stage. A lot of researches are in India and out of India is going on. So that also you understand. But understanding how, see, when you're talking about the artificial intelligence, it cannot be beyond the machine learning. Unless you understand what is machine learning. So again, machine learning at nothing but it is the computer system is fed with large amount of data. You understand, computer is nothing but is nothing but some kind of you can say carrying out it is a large amount of data is there. On the by using that data, our PCs are working. So similarly, machine learning computer system is fed with large amount of data, which is then uses to learn how to carry out a specific task, such as understanding speech or capturing a photograph. So all this can be done by the machine learning. So being a psychology student, we are not going in detail in this because we are not going to write any kind of language for this. And what is the neural network? Machine learning, neural network, and deep learning, all things are the part of the artificial intelligence. Key to the process of machine learning is a neural network. See, very interesting to understand what is the kind of neural network from where it comes. These are the brain-inspired network of interconnected layers of algorithm called neurons. So, like in our human brain, you have a lot different kind of neurons are there. That is, dendrites are there. That is getting from one neuron to another neuron. The message is passes through the axis and to the dendrites, and there are a lot of neurochemicals are there. Same kind of concept is borrowed in the neural network that feed data into each other. So all these neurons are feeding the data to each other. What happens? One component to another, like our brain system, it may be the Broca's area, it may be the frontal lobe or occipital lobe or any kind of functioning which are cerebellum or the any kind of thing which is giving the data from one neuron to another neuron. So, and which can be trained to carry out specific tasks by modifying the importance attributed to input data as it passes between the layers. So what is important here? the data is there, which is feeding to the another data, another neurons, and which can be trained to carry out specific tasks. So also training can be given to the another neuron. So set of information, set of data, that information can be given. It's very important for all of us. And it can modify the important attributed to input data as it passes between the layers. So different layers are there, and this through that. So whosoever may be knowing the functions of brain and the different parts of brain, they can understand. You have the left brain and the right brain, and what are the corpus callosum functions are there, how they are providing the information, and how the entire our human beings are can be controlled or can be seen. So another concept within the AI, which without that we cannot go ahead, that is the deep learning. Again, with the part of learning, we are saying learning is a permanent change in the our behavior due to the practice and experience. That you always, all of you know, the learning definition being the student of psychology. A subset of machine learning is deep learning, where neural networks are expanded into sprawling networks with a huge number of layers that are trained using massive amount of data. So massive amount of data is given there. So what is happened? We are seeing the neural network. After neural network, deep learning also doing the processes, and what they are doing? They are doing a lot of training is given, and they are also using the massive data which is already there in our system. It is this deep neural network that have fueled the current leap forward in the ability of computers to carry out tasks like speech recognition and computer vision. So next, super AI, super artificial intelligence, giving a lot of importance on the speech recognition and computer vision, where the machine-to-machine interaction will be there. So it is a wonderful thing which you are supposed to see in the next couple of years. So our topic there, how our reinventing the human resources are there. So I have taken care how the AI can be utilized for the our day-to-day life. It may be the what kind of machines we are using, what kind of computers we are using, what kind of fridge we are using, what kind of car driving system is there. So all things I try to cover in this particular way. Now we're going to see how the reinventing human resources are there, because part of industrial organizational psychology, we mostly deal with human resources, and their different functions are getting getting utilized by the HR analytics and as well as the artificial intelligence. In the positive of time, just I'll taking two sectors. One is the learning and one is the human resource. Artificial intelligence is focused on building human line intelligence focused on automation. So when you're talking about the artificial intelligence, all the function which is carried out by the human resource department, which is automated. So you can see a lot of things are already automated in the organizations, but AI is also mostly maybe used in a lot of big organizations where the quantum of data is huge. Like the Microsoft maybe having the 10,000 employees, or even in the Bangalore campus, they are having the 5,000 employees, they are working at the same time, or they are having the 3 lakhs or 2 lakhs employees at the same time. So it is very difficult to manage all the human resources by using the simple method, by using the Excel spreadsheets. So always they are using the HR analytics, and next step is the artificial intelligence. There are many opportunities for artificial intelligence in HR technology in the areas of talent acquisition. So when you are sourcing the talent, or when you are recruiting the human being, that time talent acquisition having a lot of importance in the AI, employee engagement, employee training and development, and employee retention. So I just try to focus on the 3 or 4 areas of the HR, which is very main. Performance appraisal and other thing I have not taken here, but again that is automated. That can be a wonderful application of the AI. Talent acquisition and role of AI in that. Organizations traditionally require new applicant to re-enter the same information over multiple steps of the new hire journey. So whosoever may be applied in any kind of organization for any kind of job role or interview, you have to fill a lot of information. Even you given your resume, you have to fill all the information, maybe electronically or maybe the formally. So companies are using AI to help candidate transfer information from their resumes onto smart digital form and more efficiently complete their application. So companies are giving a lot of importance of the smart applications. So once that information is stored in the database of the organizations or the artificial intelligence device, so all things can be captured. This information can also automatically be sent to the background check and new hire forms. So entire thing is linked with each other. In all the organization, always they are having the background check and background check company also there, and on that basis they are taking the decision. And even the person is on board, we are doing the onboarding of that person. So it is so all there is no need to take again and again same information. Only whatever information is remaining, that information can be taken, and automatic decision can be taken by your system by using the artificial intelligence. Yes, of course, human intervention is required to understand the things. Computer basis decision is there, but on that basis, human being is the supreme and they can take a decision. Employee engagement is always very burning issues. I have seen a lot of my students, they are working all conglomerate and Indian MNCs. So employee engagement is nothing to do with the celebrating birthdays and celebrating some kind of the parties and something like that, but how engage your employee within your organization, how much input they are giving. Because in industrial and organization psychology, we always say we have to work through the people. It is not. So we have to understand what, because person come to the organization with his perception, learning, decision making, a lot of other things is coming with that. He's not coming as a graphic. So here also chatbots can provide a natural human-like and always-on communication, because we have seen that there is a lack of communication. When any organization being a GM HR, if I have the 50,000 employees, it's very difficult for me to communicate with any of one of employees. The chat box, even when I'm visiting any kind of website or any kind of even my bank account, immediately some chat box is coming and they want to help. Mostly you can see that with the our insurance form. When you have to go to some kind of insurance, immediately you can say chat box. So similar kind of system is used by a lot of Indian conglomerate and MNCs. These conversations are then analyzed and leveraged to address the specific concerns. So it is not only giving the chat box, but whatever communication is there, that is systematically stored. After systematically storing, it is analyzed and leveraged to address the specific concern, wants and needs of the employee. So wants and needs of employee, here the role of the psychologist is very important, and that HR person can address potential roadblocks and who to employ their voices matter. So whatever concern may be there, that can be really seen by the HR manager, which boost engagement and reduce turnover. So attrition, I want to take another topic, but I'm not taking a separate topic here, because it will going to have a lot of engagement of your employee, and once the engaged employee is there, so what has happened? You'll get the wonderful performance. There's no need to control them. There is no need to monitor them. When the person is really engaged in their work, and the work is become motivation, we call the work motivation. The work is become the motivation, so it will automatically reduce the attrition or reduce the manpower turnover. And being the associated with the ISTD, it is always better to take some kind of training and development. So what is how it can be HR analytics and AI can be utilized for the training and development, and is already changed by using the artificial intelligence. Training and development scenario already changed in all the organization. And here we are seeing interacting with this kind of newer platform, maybe the WebEx or maybe the Google Meet or maybe the Geo Meet or it may be any kind of thing. It is having the new kind of training and development. And this is gamut of something new is there. L&D departments are transitioning to agile learning model that support the individual learning versus providing broad-based solution for the organization. So here our focus, see earlier what happened, when I want to train the employees, so I'm getting around 20, 30, 50 employees. I'm training them on the single topic. It may be the team building, it may be the problem solving, it may be leadership. But here my focus can be on the individual learning system, where I can brought in some kind of capsule or model for that individual employee. Yes, this thing is lacking, so this training can be given. This is happening with the IT industry. If someone is not good at some kind of programming system or some kind of new kind of systems, robotic learning or the coding, immediately that module can be given to that person that he's going to train through the online system and hands-on experience. Personalizing the learning journey based on job role, existing skill set, development plan, and future goals, and proactively addressing any skill gap that exists. So training, while you are doing the training, those are students of the psychology. or the management, because training, when the training is required, when the some new kind of technology is there. But why the training is required? There is a gap between the expected and actual performance. You have to remember, when there is a gap between expected and real performance, then the training is required. So how you can determine that? It is not just filling some kind of forms or some kind of information, but you can to get all the data and decision basis. On that basis, decision can be made by your also all the AI system. That is wonderful tool for all of us being training and development professionals. So artificial intelligence in education having a lot of importance, a lot of things are there. So we have to utilize that. So a lot of things are there. We are using, you are applying all the things from last couple of months, couple of years. So smart content, again, it is individual specific. Smart content creation from digitized guides of textbooks to customizable learning digital interface. Now we are seeing this kind of AI is used by all the online learning platform. It may be the Baiju or it may be the Indian company. They are giving the training, so they are having the individualist model for the student. If you are weak in the quantum physics, take this module and do it. So these kind of things are already changing the entire learning space. What you are seeing the learning and development organization, similarly in education system, even that is changing, are being introduced and at all level from elementary to post-secondary to corporate environments. So everywhere we are giving the new kind of digitization of textbooks, and the guides are customable. So customized for individual employees. It is not the entire 1 lakh employees, or in my class 80 students are there. So similar kind of things are there. But this can be possible by using the AI and mostly in the online environment. But when I'm in the classroom, I have to see all my weakest student in the class as well as the intelligent student in the class. So I have to cater to all the students. But here I can specifically create the modules. So here the hybrid model can be created by the educational institutes, by the universities. So, or you can say the some kind of modules and something can be learner specific. So that can be utilized by using the AI. And what is the intelligent tutoring system? Even that can be done. Curriculum organized around the student progress combined with timely targeted feedback, immediate opportunities for corrected practice, and enrichment activities are for fundamental mastery learning. So master learning processes are there. It is even the Carnage learning, their Mika software, they are using it. So here what you are doing, you are giving immediate feedback. So being a student of psychology, we have one experiment that we are calling knowledge of result. So immediately you are getting the knowledge of result. Whatever the functions are there, you are getting feedback. The automatic feedback is given, and this kind of system is already there that you are calling Mika software, and n number of software will also going to come within the couple of years. And they have the proposed 5 key areas for ongoing research in educating system in the by using the AI. That is mentors for every learner. So being a mentor, I can just mentor around 50 students, but here every learner can get one mentor to understand his capabilities, his learning, all the things. It may form the basic primary to the management and even the organization. So if I want to coach my employee to become the higher learner or maybe higher position like a general manager or maybe vice president, but here mentoring and coaching is having a lot of importance. So that also can be created. That can be also given learning specific, because those are in higher position. Mostly there a lot of time is going on the planning and thinking, and execution other thing can be done by other person. But here AI can take part of that, and the individual training can be provided to the learner. Learning 21st century skill like the computing and other kind of things can be a skill which is mostly based on the computer based knowledge and computer based learning. Interaction, data for learning, and universal access to global classroom. So everyone having the classroom, it is 24/7 every time. All the classroom material is available. It is not there nowadays, so I have to go to the classroom and then I have to learn. But that access is there. So a lot of universities, n number of time, all videos are there. So anytime you can visit there, and like you can see the NEET and JEE, all type of material is always available, even the CAT examination, and then you can revise again and again. So that will be again will be more automated. And learning is not only one time, but it is lifelong and life-wide learning. It won't stop in one situation, but it is only going to continue. So what is important, most important, because I know a lot of questions may be coming. So what is the limitation of AI? So there is a book called "Can the Robot Will Going to Take the World?" Like we see the sci-fi uh, fiction cinemas. We can see the robots are coming out, some aliens are coming, and they're capturing the entire world or human race. But that is not going to happen because intelligence is not there. Even the simple supercomputer don't have that much capacity of the 5-year-old child to functioning that way. The principal limitation of AI is that it learns from the data. Because I given emphasis, it should be learned from the data. There is no other way in which knowledge can be incorporated. That means any inaccuracies in the data will be reflected in the result. So when you are doing the research and you are doing the computation by using the statistics, you always believe that do the data cleaning, whether your data is clear and accurate. Without that, you cannot get the desired result. Similarly, it depends on the entirely on data, and any additional layers of prediction or analysis have to be added separately. So once our system, our machine is analyzed or maybe programmed in something, they cannot do something else by themselves. Human being can take decision. They want to do suppose A and B and C. Even they can do the Z, or they cannot do anything. They can be sit idle. But here machines are only programming to do only one thing. Today's AI systems are trained to do a clearly defined task. So what is the defined task is there? You are supposed to do. The system that plays poker cannot play solitaire or chess. So system is already there. So they cannot do the multifunctioning. The system that detects fraud cannot drive a car or give you legal advice. So fraud detection system is that a banking system everywhere, but they cannot drive. Human being, you can drive. You are the officer at the SEBI. You can do investigation. You are the officer at the commissioner of income tax. You can do investigation. You can drive the car. Even you can operate the mobile. Even you can do a lot of things. But that is not possible in near future. It may take another 25 years, but it is not possible right now. In fact, an AI system that detects healthcare fraud cannot accurately detect tax fraud or a warranty claim fraud. So it's very difficult to understand to the machines. In a nutshell, I'll to summarize. In other words, AI are very specialized. They are focused on single tasks and are far from behaving like humans. The imagine AI technologies that you see in movies and scientific fiction, but computers that can probe complex data to learn and perfect specific tasks are becoming quite common. So that also there. So what are the see? It is not a future going to have something like a very drastic, but what are the machine right now you are using? They are having the some kind of more intelligence. Like Alexa, you are getting a lot of things are there. Even your laptop Alexa system is there. Even your TV is also Alexa system is there. Having some kind of emotional intelligence are there, or even the you can see the new car models are there. They can speak with you, but they cannot imitate human behavior. They cannot imitate the human intelligence. So it will take little bit time, but certainly robot or the machines will not take over the human being in near future because human being are evolving. If you have seen the Darwin approach of the evolution of human being, we are always evolving something more than that, and certainly it is created by human being. So I see artificial intelligence and its implications on the human life. It's very wide and vast. It cannot be covered within 1 day or 2 days. It is very a lot of things are there. But here I want to emphasize one thing. Here, the student of psychology and professor of psychology, researcher of psychology, they should be emphasis. There is a wide scope of the psychologist to work in this field. It's a very emerging field where the human and computer interactions having a lot of importance. So it is the upcoming things. So thank you very much to you. I can see Professor S.P. Singh, Vice Chancellor of the Royal University. So I'm Royal Global University. So I'm really thankful to you. So initially I asked Janvi also, sir is joining or yes, sir is joining. So nice to meet you, sir, here.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. I'm sure the participants have learned as much as I have. To all the participants and Dr. Thackeray, our esteemed Vice Chancellor, sir, has joined us. Sir, would you please take over for a few words?
Thank you so much, Janvi Mitra. You are the host for the day. How can I avoid your instructions? So I would like I was listening to Dr. Thackeray for almost half an hour, because I could join only at 4:10 or 4:15 after concluding my another departmental meeting. I think Jim Shri was also there in that meeting.
Right.
So I think first of all, I must tell you that SNDT University is very close to my heart because of my very good friend. She's a vice chancellor there, Madam Shashikala Manjari. I
Right.
met her many times,
Yes.
and she was here at IIT Guwahati for some time, and then we interacted, and I'm still in touch with her. So, and we had met at many forums. So it is very close to my heart, though I never visited SNDT University.
Right. Right.
But then I will definitely try to visit your university as soon as I get a
You're
chance.
most welcome. Most welcome.
And Bombay was also again was there in on my cards for almost 2 years, 2013-14, when I was part and parcel of establishing the MIT University Mumbai campus at Panvel. That is my baby. I was actually doing that for next, and even Professor Khole when he joined, and I think we are part and parcel of that particular team.
Yes.
So that is one part. But then, as far as your area of expertise is concerned and the topic is concerned, I think you're associate professor and also industrial organizational psychologist. So that seems to quite interesting because I teach the subject of behavioral science, and I also teach not industrial psychology, but I think consumer behavior and organization behavior are my very I think very close subjects to my heart.
Yes.
Though, so that way I can, many times we feel that people say that this big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blah blah blah. I'm not against it.
Yes,
I
nice.
am for it, but I, as a human being, or maybe as an individual, as a little bit psychologist, as a little bit who study about the behavior of the people, about behavior of the system, I would say that, as you said, and you probably concluded with that, Dr. Thackeray, that AI or robotics or machine learning, whatever new things will come up, that they will not be able to match up with the immense possibilities of human beings, the way they think, the way they do multitasking. You won't believe, every day I attend 2 webinars together.
Right.
And one from my ear and second from the speaker. And you won't believe I have developed a system. I can understand both and write for notes for both the webinars. So that probably only humans can do. A machine will be able to do one day. Then you require 2 robots. One robot will not be able to do the way we can do. So I mean, it is a great game between machine and men. The machines are being upgraded by men to compete with men and to make men better and to forget few things. I mean, from mobile phone to digital diaries and computers, I think our capacity to remembering things has gone down badly. We don't remember even a single number. Many times we don't remember our number of our spouse. Patni ka number bhi yaad badi mushkil se rehta hai, and forget about other numbers. But at the same time, we have a device which can remember so many numbers that you cannot remember. So it is a game going on between machine and man. Who will supersede, we don't know. But what I would suggest, and I probably would like to share with you all, that machines, whatever will come for next 25 years, 50 years, or 100 years, even robots will come. And if you say all animated movies and movies which are depicting the future and whatever, imagine an idea, everything will come in aid to humans.
Right.
They will be aiding to humans. Only thing is that while we take the aid from these machines and concepts and ideas, we should do it, or maybe we should use it for the betterment of the mankind. I mean, that should not be that our mind, our thinking, our emotions, our life become mechanical. Then the human race will be defeated by machines.
Right.
The human race will remain human till the time we have emotions, till the time we can do many things at a time, till the time our prudence is higher than machine. As soon as machine is trying to take over, we should develop in ourselves something more than machine that we have. We don't know. So that is what I say as a student of psychology, or a student of human behavior, or maybe a student of organizational behavior. So this I always practice myself also. I try whatever was there, before the machine comes should not go. And whatever machines are giving me, that should be added. So
Yes.
if that concept we will follow, we will progress. If the machine will take over my task and we will be starting forgetting whatever we were doing once upon a time, I think machine will take over us one day. When, I don't know, but they can. But all humans who can live with machines well and can use machine as a tool will supersede the word and will be the master of the word. Rest of them will perish. So that is also a caution to everyone, that you have to learn living with them, but at the same time thinking that you are far superior than them, but not only thinking, doing such things so that you remain superior.
Right.
So that is what is my take for the day, and I really have understood many things what Dr. Thackeray has said. And thank you so much for giving your time, precious time, and interacting with my faculty and staff members and students. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Over
you.
to you, Janvi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Professor S.P. Singh. We want to take a few questions from the colleagues and some people who have posted in the chat box. So I found two questions very interesting. One posted by my colleague Rudrani Raj. She questioned regarding the big data analytics and how they can threaten the individual's privacy. Like you were talking about how our previous buys can detect what we are going to buy next. There are suggestions by Alexa or Netflix. So is there free will in that case? How much of free will there is, or what do you comment on this?
Yeah. Decision is mostly it is in the hand of the purchaser or the consumer. Both the different kind of things are there, but they want to induce to buy something because here and now phenomena they want to use it, and they want to induce right now you buy it because you want to see on the Amazon or the Flipkart, they want to introduce some kind of new kind of devices which is available within the next 24 hours. Otherwise it will go. So they are again using the consumer psychology or human psychology. They want to induce that, and human being is supreme to take decision, but the computers or the AI system is want to take over that decision ability of the human being. So decision is mostly with the human being.
Okay.
I think I've given this answer properly. I think.
Okay. So one more question. It's about how much can we rely on AI regarding decisions of, say, suppose government or defense. Like if AI is going to different fields of our life, then how much can we depend on it in terms of important matters?
Yeah. It's a very good question because AI can take over the lot of things and still they are doing it. Like the guided missile or we are having the news, the Rafale plane, which can be utilized. So it is guided missile targeting at the n number of places at the same time. So, or even doing the robotic surgery by using the AI. One person can perform not can be perform that precision surgery, but by using the AI system and robotic surgery that can be possible. So even the government can take the intelligence decision on the basis of AI system. Even the government of India having a lot of data about all the people through the different system. Like you are earlier used to have the 5-year planning commission planning system was there, and Niti Aayog is there. On that basis of the data which is gathered by the different government, they are taking a decision. So artificial intelligence and analytics always plays role, and it will really help all the governments, all the functionaries to take the informed decision and a proper decision. So it is, I can say it is around 99.9% precision is already achieved by using the artificial intelligence. But the main game or main button is in the hand of human being who's taking the decision.
Okay. So I think we had one last question from Chainika Sharma, but I also believe that VC sir and you have both commented beautifully on it, that how far can AI take over our jobs in the future? But
Yes.
I believe this has been answered by both of you.
See, that is a little bit concern of some of the students who may be looking for a job, but mostly I can say when the new jobs are created, when the BPO come and the former Prime Minister of India Rajiv Gandhi introduced because that time we were in college, so computers were there. A lot of people want to oppose that. Why the PCs are there? My laws, I'm going to lose my job. But we have seen on the basis of the computer invention of computers and using it, it is really created n number of and thousands of crores of jobs for the Indian youth. Similarly, by using the AI, job will not going to lose, but you have to learn the new technology. You cannot be behind the technology, and it is see everywhere. Computers are there, everywhere intelligence there. So our lives are governed by that. It is not certainly going to reduce the jobs, but certainly if you're not seeing the driverless car where the AI is taking functions, so some kind of roles or some kind of jobs will not be there. Otherwise, lot of new kind of jobs are going to create. Earlier, when the formal retail was not there, no one was the retail manager or the team leader or the salesperson who is working there. When the Swiggy and Ola and other things were there, so no one was having that kind of role was not there, which was not existing before 5 years. But these new kind of roles are coming up. So, being a student, you have to understand which new kind of things are coming up. So it will not certainly in some sector jobs will be reduced, but other sector is going to have the another more number of jobs are there.
Okay. Do you have time for one last question, sir?
Sir want to give.
I just want to add on, even if the transition from the computers when came and all those internet connectivity and jobs and railways, everything has a transition time from men to machine. If anything has to be done, or maybe men to artificial intelligence, there will be time means 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? And this transition gives a chance to all those people who fear that they will lose a job to transgress to the next level. And the prudent humans, they transgress to the next level. The people who don't want to change and don't want to transgress, they will definitely lose the job. Means the change is the only constant. If you are thinking that something is going to change and is changing, we also need to change whatever age group we belong to. So if tomorrow the robots will come and take, Bangalore, in one school in Bangalore, a robot is taking a class. Teachers are not required, and that robot is teaching 5 subjects. So tomorrow it is possible that, I don't know, then after 50 years, 20, teachers are not required. But teachers may be required to train the robots. So there will be something, or maybe by the time teachers will be taken over by robots, something else will be ready for us in the world to do, which is better than what robots can't do. So, I mean, it is a progressive world, and everything is going step by step and progression. So nobody, I mean, all positive people and progressive people and people who can adapt the change should not worry about the job. All others who want a job just for a job, don't want to do anything and don't want to learn new things, and if they are not lifelong learners, they will lose the job, and they should lose the job. I should say that. So thank you very much. I wanted to add on.
Yes. Professor Ramanji Singh from ADMA, he also remembering you.
Okay.
ADMA, Amity, Delhi, Noida.
Yes. And IT, I mean, this from where you did your diploma, this Indian Institute of Training and Idea. So that is also known to me because of many years I was working with the training department, Ministry of HRD. So I mean, that was my connection.
Yes.
Anyways, you carry on, Janvi. Thank you so much.
So we just have one last question. Dr. Manoj Jain from Royal School of Business, he asks that since algorithms and machine learning are likely to enable faster and superior decision making, authenticity of data will be the showstopper or the one driving our future. So what is your viewpoint on it, on the authenticity of data?
In my interaction with all of you, spoken on what is the importance of the data, because all the decisions are taken on the basis of the data capturing. So the data mining and big data having the importance, along with that you have to authenticate the data which is already there. If someone is giving the false information about their age, their income, or any other thing, so I cannot take the proper decision on that. So you have to verify that. So even that system is there. Like the job candidate is giving some kind of information, but what I'm doing, I'm having some machine or I'm having some system through that I can do the background check. So checking is also there also, but that part also can be taken. So even using the simple SPSS system, what you're doing, you're segregating the missing data. So missing data we are not taking while taking the decision making, and missing data that field can be identified, and that person can be immediately can send the mail to that person. Yes, your data is not properly done. So even that system is developed. That system is very much operational. So data integrity and data mining is very important.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I guess we are done with the questions. Thank you once again, Dr. Nilesh Thakre and Professor Dr. S.P. Singh, for joining us. I guess we can wrap up. The feedback form links are posted in the chat box for the participants, and they can fill it up, and we'll be getting back to them with the e-certificates very soon. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Nilesh.
Yeah, thank you, Professor S.P. Singh ji. Yeah, we'll meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do visit Guwahati sometime. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.